This is a Natural Law with Bill Hoy production. Attention all Americans. We destroy ourselves. We work for the IRS, FBI, CIA, DHS, ICE, the federal government, police, and military. Americans inflict suffering on themselves and others around the world. Hello, anyone who's watching. My name is Bill Hoy, and my website is naturallawwithbillhoy.com, and this is a video I'm making. Let's get right to it. Hey, Trump supporters, you have been tricked. Folks, if you're a Trump supporter and you haven't realized you've been hoodwinked by now, there's nothing anybody can do for you. It's plainly obvious who's running things, who's running Donald Trump. It's Israel first, and amongst others, I'll get to that. I've been trying to wise people up first. I started this Hey Trump supporters, you've been tricked video series 6 years ago. And I've been trying to wise people up since Trump was first getting elected, going up against Hillary Clinton. I've been trying to wise people up. No one wants to hear it. So no one is going to save you. You can save yourselves. We need to stop fighting each other. That's the key. Politicians are actors who work for wealthy industrialists, bankers, oligarchs, big pharma, Israel, and the military-industrial complex. They get Americans to inflict suffering on fellow Americans. It is time to ignore them. Nobody go out and vote in the next election. That'll speak volumes. When are Americans going to stop inflicting suffering on each other in the name of politics and religion? Let's be honest, most Americans just want to live their lives in peace, love their families, and enjoy their communities. Why can't Americans just come together in the common interest of the aforementioned values and agree to disagree on some things? I mean, come on, enough with this shit. Politics is the problem, not the solution. Money is not the most important thing in life. We need to begin to understand underlying causal factors and learn how laws of cause and effect really work. That's natural law. The violence, chaos, and suffering in America is the result of our choices. We must change this. How do we change this? We start learning the underlying causal factors of what's really causing the problems here in America and the world. Starting with, the initiation of physical harm to others is inversely related to levels of freedom in societies of intelligent beings. I know you might not think people are intelligent, especially in America, but yes, we do have intelligence. Physical harm is murder, assault, rape, theft, trespass, and willful lying that results in physical harm. To initiate physical harm is to aggress towards others without provocation. Physical harm does not change by calling the behaviors by different names. Taxation is theft, extortion, and coercion with the threat of violence and the carrying out of violence, depending on the level of noncompliance. An initiation of aggression is an act that violates a person's property. Our bodies, what is in or on our bodies, and our thoughts and speech are our property. Millions of people in the U.S. work for institutions that initiate physical harm towards others. The corresponding result is the loss of freedom. Try to tell me this is not true. I challenge anyone. Try to tell me we're freer now in 2025 than we were in 2000 or 1980. Try to tell me. I'd love to hear your argument. Try to tell me we're freer now. So continuing with underlying causal factors, which is going to be one of the main one I'm going to talk about in this video, the belief in human rulership, okay? But also, there's the belief in money as a primary value, and we the people destroy ourselves, which is the theme here, okay? So here you got it, the initiation of physical harm inversely related to levels of freedom, belief in human rulership, belief in money as a primary value, and we the people destroy ourselves ultimately. Continuing on, the belief in human rulership, that's what I'll be covering mostly here in this video today. But I just want to touch on for a second the belief in money as a primary value, and we the people destroy ourselves, which I hope to get to in other videos. I certainly talk about these things all the time. But here I'm just going to give an example. This is on the right. That's Bill Murphy, the soon-to-be former governor of New Jersey. This, at the time, was during the scamdemic. It was 2020, and during the lockdowns, and the Atlas Gym owners did not want to lock down. The man with the on the left, in the left caption, with the American flag bandana over his face, that's Ian Smith. I'm pretty sure. I know it's the owner of the Atlas Gym, one of them. Um, and behind him, as you can see, are the police. And so we have all Americans here. All right, we have on the right, we have the politician. He gives the orders. He says, shut down Atlas Gym. Okay. And then Americans destroy, you got Americans destroying Americans. Okay. The police, they're Americans. Ian Smith, I think that's who that is, the Atlas Gym owner. Uh, he's an American. Murphy's an American, I guess, but he's a part of a ruling class. But here's on the left, Americans destroying Americans. The police arresting, kidnapping, and throwing in a cage the Atlas Gym owners. And here's the police. The belief in money as a primary value. They need to earn their paychecks. And now, earning their paychecks, they destroy a man from earning his pay to feed his family. We, the people, destroy ourselves. The politician, Murphy, he just gives the order. And we Americans destroy our own fellow Americans. We do all this to ourselves. When are we going to wake up? Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about the belief in human rulership. Number one, it is a religion of statism. People are conditioned as children and reinforced as adults to think that obedience to a trusted authority is a virtue. People believe that politicians and their enforcers have the right to initiate violence. This violence is not called violence, like taxation. I keep going back to that. That's the perfect example. Number two, the power of politicians and their enforcers come from the belief in the minds of millions of people who adhere to this doctrine. Number three, the belief in human royalty is a result of indoctrination of children in public schools by way of repetition and various rituals that are vacuous and not based in objective principles. So, speaking of that, this is an article from a few years ago, and this is what happens to our children. The belief in human rulership is fomented into all of us via conditioning in public schools of children in their formative years, their very tender years of subconscious development. One of the stages of development that Eric Erikson refers to as initiative versus guilt, and that's where these rituals are really ingrained deep into the subconscious of all of us, and we need to pull all of our children out of public schools, get them away from these rituals. This is the religion of violence. And this article is about forcing kids to stand up for the national anthem, and whether or not a state actually has those rules. Let me tell you, when everyone else is standing for the national anthem, a kid's going to stand. That's just the way that works. So this brings me to remember this: Donald Trump versus Colin Kaepernick, 2017. In 2016, Kaepernick took a knee during the national anthem in a football game. Colin Kaepernick, an American football player, and he did it in support of young black men in the inner city being summarily executed by police. And I'm going to get to that, but I just wanted to give that introduction. So let me continue here. So Trump was on Fox News during his time, and he was talking to co-host Pete Hegseth, which is now a member of his ruling class. And Trump said the NFL cannot disrespect our country. They cannot disrespect our flag or our national anthem. This is very key. The flag, national anthem, this is very key. I'm going to get to this, but very, very key. This is where the belief in human rulership is fomented. So this is from October 2017. Vice President Mike Pence was at a football game, NFL football game, and he said, President Trump and I will not dignify any event that disrespects our soldiers, our flag, or our national anthem. Okay, now just keep in mind this disrespects our soldiers. That's a big one. That's a big part of the indoctrination, the reinforcement of the indoctrination. I'm going to get to that. So let's see. Pence tweets later, adding, at a time when so many Americans are inspiring our nation with their courage, resolve, and resilience, now more than ever we should rally around our flag and everything that unites us. This is very key. Okay, so this is partially true. Okay, that unites us. I mean, this country is divided, but let me get to this. This is partially true. It does unite us. Okay, part of the game of human rulership politics is to divide the people and get them to fight amongst each other. Okay, we got plenty of that. In order for this trick to work, that is the belief in human rulership, to get people, into that, the people, both sides, have to be united in the belief in human rulership. That's the fundamental key. That's the fundamental underlying key. Both sides, whether they're fighting against each other, still have to believe in the belief in human rulership. That is what the rituals are for, to reinforce the adults' indoctrinated psychosis. It works like a charm. That's what these rituals, the flag, the national anthem, standing for the flag, the disrespecting soldiers, support the soldiers, all that stuff. That's the reinforcement. That reinforces the belief in human rulership. That's the key here. They don't care if we fight amongst each other as long as we believe in human rulership. That's the key. So, photo shows Trump shaking hands with former Al Qaeda leader. How about that in the White House? How about that? Al Qaeda attacked us on 9/11. How about that? So let's talk about this. So here's on the left Colin Kaepernick taking his knee, supposedly according to the indoctrination reinforcement um, um, propaganda. He's disrespecting our soldiers, okay? But this man here that's with Donald Trump, Al Jawlani, let's see, here he is, that's circled. This man killed our soldiers. So on the left, Colin Kaepernick supposedly disrespecting soldiers, and here's a man in the White House shaking hands with the president who actually definitely facilitated the killing of U.S. soldiers, if not actually participated in killing U.S. soldiers with his own hands. Okay? And these are the contradictions in the belief in human rulership right here. Because, folks, it has nothing to do with disrespecting soldiers or anything like that. They don't give a crap about the soldiers. It's about the indoctrination to the belief in human rulership. Let me continue. So, here's an article. Trump and Al Jawlani, that guy that was shaking hands with Trump, the Syrian leader, former Al Qaeda guy, ISIS guy. Trump and Al Jawlani paradoxically share core values. No, not paradoxically. Okay, not paradoxically. They do share core values. They actually share core values. Once again, folks, when you see through all the rituals, you'll know that this is what this is about. It's about the belief in human rulership. That's what this is about. This is all about the belief in human rulership, period. So I wasn't going to put these up here, but I wanted to put these up here because because this is what the ruling class thinks about this. So this was Trump insulting service members. Apparently Trump called them losers and suckers. And whether or not this is true or taken out of context, folks, if you do enough studying, you'll see that this is absolutely how the ruling class feels about soldiers and police and people who just follow orders blindly. They have utter contempt for you. They think you're an absolute idiot. And really, to be honest with you, anyone who blindly follows an order without first thinking for themselves is an idiot. It's just the truth. I was in the military. I did that. I was an idiot. I wised up. When are you going to wise up? And for those of you who, on the right side of the political game, think that I'm supporting Biden with talking about Trump shaking hands with a terrorist, and also those of you on the left who think, ha ha ha, our guy didn't do that, shake hands with a terrorist. Well, he kind of did. They did, because Both sides are involved with this, and sorry to break it to you, but here's an article. Who is Mohammed al-Jolani? Why U.S. removed 10 million bounty on the Syrian rebel leader? And this is from December 21st, 2024. So the Biden administration was involved in this guy as well. Sorry. Keep in mind what Kaepernick did was significant. Why? Because he challenged the core of human rulership. I'm not sure if Colin even realized what he was really doing. That's, him taking a knee during the football game. I think if Kaepernick decided to take a side of the left-right paradigm, this would not have been such a big deal. For example, if Colin had opposed Obama, who was the current president when he took his knee, and supported Trump, who was running for president, the right-sided media and the politicians would have framed Cap's kneeling as an expression of his constitutional rights. It would have fit perfectly into the conservative narrative and would not threaten the belief in human rulership in any way. Cap's neutral stance, kneeling during the national anthem in support of inner-city young men with dark skin that were being executed by police during one of the most important human rulership mechanisms, the national anthem, standing for the national anthem, during an NFL football game watched by millions, could not be tolerated by the ruling class. Most Americans do not even realize how significant this event was. Unfortunately, the ruling class won by getting the majority of people to stay in the psychosis that was programmed into them at ages 5, 6, and 7, mostly in public schools. Shortly after this, Kaepernick signed a deal with Nike, contradicting his valiant and courageous kneeling episode by accepting support from an organization that uses slave labor. Close, but no cigar. And that's it.